I have been waiting for a long time, wanting to talk about this match. At Elimination Chamber 2014, we finally got what we always been begging for the past couple of months. The Wyatt family versus The Shield in a six-man tag team match. It was pretty much a modern day dream match. Like, if the Shield and Wyatt family match didn't happen, it would go down as that feud that could have been, or that feud that was imagined, but it could never really happen. Well, in this case, it could have, but WWE was just incompetent. It'd be on the level of, I'll just go and say it, Ric Flair and Hulk Hogan never happening at WrestleMania 8, was it? I can't remember. It's been a while since I last checked. But yeah, it'd be like that because everyone wanted to see this match, but instead we got the Von Erichs and the Freebirds kind of hyped to it because this is a feud that was building and building and building to happen since November when the Wyatt family interfered in the Shield's match during their match against CM Punk and Daniel Bryan in their first interaction with each other. That was an awesome moment. It was so awesome. It was like Ryan Delbert of Bleacher Report said that he compared it to the Avengers meeting meeting the Justice League, and like I when at the time I didn't watch Marvel Cinematic movies until later on, but yeah, that probably be the best way to describe it. It was a dream coming true that everyone wanted to see this match happen, and then I had another dream I wanted to see in this hall before they do a match. I want to see them tag team together in a 12-man tag team match. I want to see them partner up, see how the combustible elements of the Wyatts and the Shield go. In fact, I'll just say it. I even have a fan fiction, just doing it for fun, that I actually had the Shield and the Wyatt family tag team up against 12, not 12, six other guys at a pay-per-view, and I'm like, and this was planned, and I had thought of this about a couple of months before that encounter and that 12-man tag team match that happened the week after their first encounter. So I was like, WWE, you stole my idea! I want royalty fees, damn it! But anyways, and then afterwards, the Shield started developing a dissension after Hell in a Cell pay-per-view, so I started freaking out a bit, like, oh god, is the Shield breaking up? Like, there's signs of dissension. Like, are they really gonna not go forward with the Wyatts and the Shield? Like, they need to be the ones that destroy the Shield. They can be known as the destroyers of the Shield. That would be a huge momentum boost for Bray Wyatt, Eric Rowan, and Luke Harper. And at the time, I wasn't that much into the indie scene. Like, okay, what's the best way to describe it? I was an adult, but I had this mentality of a wrestling kid. Like, I didn't think there was anything beyond WWE. Well, I knew there was stuff beyond WWE. I just never focused on it. So I didn't know who any of these guys were. And then I started looking more and more, and then I really became an IWC wrestling fan, if someone can make that argument. And then I started getting involved in the bookings and whatnot, wanting to see how the shows worked and whatnot. But yeah, this was a match I was dying to see. This was a pay-per-view match I wanted to see. So I went ahead and watched it. But before I get to that, that was also my first pay-per-view match I saw in about, before the WWE Network, it was about, the last time I watched a pay-per-view, it was 2003? Yeah, that sounds about right. Before the WWE Network came out. But yeah, I think that was it. I think it was Stephanie McMahon versus Vince McMahon pay-per-view match. In an I Quit match. I think that was the last time I saw a pay-per-view. So yeah, and then with all this dissension with the Shield and the Wyatt family rising to power, it seemed like the logical conclusion to finally get these two teams together. Like, everybody was clamoring for it. Everyone was writing on Twitter when the Shield looked like it might disband at TLC when they had to fight CM Punk in a 1-on-3 handicap match. And that thankfully didn't happen. And also, there were reports that this match was probably going to happen at WrestleMania 30, and I said, okay, yeah, please do it at WrestleMania. This is a WrestleMania dream match to many people now. Like, you had these two imposing factions, one that stands for their warped view of justice, and the other one standing for cultist ideals and basically throw down the proletariat mentality, basically take down the machines of society. So you have these two factions that were very similar but yet so different, and it just seemed perfect for them to collide. And then at the Royal Rumble, we got yet another big hint when the Wyatt family, Luke Harper and Eric Rowan, since Bray Wyatt wasn't in the Royal Rumble match at that time, stared down with the Shield and then brawled each other until it broke up like a couple of minutes later. Like that was like, oh yes, please let that be the next feud before the Shield break up. And then the next night, we finally got the seeds to plant that feud when the Wyatt family cost the Shield their match against John Cena, Daniel Bryan, and I believe Sheamus at the Elimination Chamber. And while it would have been interesting to see the Shield inside the Elimination Chamber, I just knew, yep, sacrifice that. I know they're all championship worthy because they have the talent, and yes, even Roman Reigns, because even then I had this belief that Roman Reigns was nearly ready at that time. He just needed to work on his mic work, or basically be himself. But yeah, I had this thought like, we're finally gonna get it! And I just loved when the Shield just broke crazy, went mad when they realized that they lost the match due to disqualification. And basically, they trashed the announce table, and Roman Reigns stands on it like a growling beast, like he's just hungry for revenge. Like, you just went into my territory, therefore you're going to pay for this. And then I was like, okay, yeah, they're doing it. They're going to do it. And then I tuned into Night on SmackDown on Thursday, I believe it was, or was it Friday Night SmackDown still? But anyways, yeah, I tuned into SmackDown to see what would happen, and that was the first time I watched SmackDown in a year at that time. And then I stopped afterwards. I just focused on YouTube giving me the information most of the time. But like, the Shield demanded a challenge against the Wyatt family, which was awesome, especially with their dissension issues. And then Triple H comes out after interrupting Vicky Guerrero, who was the pretty much inoperable GM of SmackDown, to challenge to basically. And this was the first time I wanted to see Roman Reigns versus Triple H when they did their first stare down. Like that was the match I wanted to also see later down the road, and we got it at WrestleMania 32. Just wasn't the match I was hoping for, considering the build-up looked more like it was gearing for a no DQ match. But that's beside the point. So Triple H decides to profit from this dream match, and we finally get it. And the Wyatt family, and then I love the build that they did with this, mostly because the Shield and Wyatt family never physically engaged each other. They had stare downs, they talked through promos. Like that was what was really missing from this ingredient. Like WWE, you're making sense. You're developing logic. Oh God, I'm freaking out, man. I've had to ventilate. Yeah, but anyways, but like, I'm basically going into a wrestling nerd's dream. Basically, this was a dream match I wanted to see for months now. Like, when the Wyatt family said that be careful inviting the devil in your backyard because we may just like and decide to stay. Luke Harper speaks for the first time I've ever seen him, and I was like, he talks? And by God, was his words creepy, saying, "You've reaped what you've sown. You three boys picked the most beautiful hill to die on." And I was like, oh dear God, that was awesome. And Eric Rowan also spoke, saying run. That's to be expected, since he's been saying that for months. But Luke Harper speaking for the first time, as I've noticed, yeah, that was surprising. And then, like, Bray Wyatt and the Shield would engage in these war of words. Mostly it was Roman Reigns and Bray Wyatt talking, but, like, I didn't care. Like, at the time, Roman Reigns was still badass. He was allowed to be himself as a heel. Whereas now it's debatable. Like, it's sometimes hit or miss, but mostly miss when it comes to the promo work. But yeah. This match was building where they did these epic stare downs after matches and just stared at each other like it's the Wild West. And I'm like, whoa, 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 wah. Wah, 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 wah. Yeah, it was the Wild West for me. When like I just add a tumbleweed there, and then you got a Wild West theme here going on. And like everyone said, this was the best build up to the Elimination Chamber pay per view. And then finally, they came to physical altercations on the final Raw before Elimination Chamber when the Wyatt family and the Shield interfered in Sheamus versus Randy Orton, and by God, the fans just lost it when they finally got them to fight each other. Like that was awesome. Like it can be questioned whether or not if it was as just as awesome as the UK encounter or this last encounter they had, but then everyone started having that creeping fear that this was going to be the end of the Shield. Like everyone knew, yeah, the Wyatt family are most likely going to win this match. I didn't care. I knew the Wyatt family was going to win, but that doesn't stop the match from being awesome. Like that's how I looked at it. If it's predictable, okay, fine. If it's predictable, it's predictable, but make it a great predictable, not just not just predictable. Make it like good, especially with predictability that I actually would like say not the John Cena becoming a 16-time champion and then dropping the belt most likely 2 weeks later. That makes no sense, but that's WWE for you. But the Wyatt family in the Shield match, I would look at that match and say, okay, the build-up, don't change a thing. The match, okay, that was awesome. Don't change a thing. Like, you could have had that only match happen and then probably do it again if the Shield and Wyatt family were to later reunite one day and do another match, and it would be just as big. Because this nostalgia and this feud feels like it never ended. But, like, this, I called it the Shield and Wyatt family war because that's what it was. It was a war, a silent war, before it finally came to blows at Elimination Chamber. And by God, did they do everything right with this match. Like right away, the Shield and Wyatt family get to brawl right before the bell rings just to get the audience to go crazy. But before that, the Shield and the Wyatt family, they're both heels, but they entered a tween status between that middle area between the good guy and the bad guy, the heel and face. So, audience were really split on who to cheer for. Did they cheer for the Shield because the Shield had been around for a while? Or did they cheer for the Wyatts because they're such a unique gimmick? But also familiar with The Undertaker, you can say. And my God, the indecisiveness the fans had, I loved it. Like, let's go Wyatt, let's go Shield, let's go Wyatt, let's go Shield. Like, oh dear God, that was awesome. And they were chanting, "This is awesome." And they haven't even fought yet because everyone wanted to see this dream match. Even the commentators were doing a lot better than usual, and that's really saying something at that time. So that was surprising. But yeah, the commentators were doing much better and actually like giving a crap. And like, it was just so awesome. Like the Wyatt family and the Shield, they're allowed to go at each other right before the bell rings, and then they're doing this intense stare down. Like, play the Dragon Ball Z stare down theme. We gotta do it here. Play the music. I don't care if it's not related to wrestling. Play the music. Like someone should have done that. Because that was how intense the stare down was. And then they came to blows, and we finally got this match going. And by God, this match was awesome. Like I said, don't change a thing. Like, if you cut out the Shield dissension, because there was not really much dissension going on, but like, the only complaint people can make to this match is that it wasn't at WrestleMania. We never got it at WrestleMania. It should have been at WrestleMania, and considering what happened to Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family after when WrestleMania came around, yeah, that was probably would have been the best. But yeah, this was a feud just waiting to explode, and I loved every minute of it. Like, I was freaking out just seeing this match go back and forth and back and forth. And like I said, at the time, I wasn't that much into the indie scene, so I didn't know all about all these guys. And then I saw Luke Harper, this big guy, and I was like, oh, he's just a big guy. Like, he has a creepy look, but yeah, he's just a big guy, including Eric Rowan. They're just the muscles of the Wyatt family. But then they started having this distinct character development, shocking, for Vince even, that was bleeding into their characters, and, well, I couldn't picture them without Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. Like they could add more members, but it was hard to really replace the original trio. Like yeah, they added Daniel Bryan, who later left after 2 weeks, and then they added Braun Strowman, who later left after a year, and now they have Randy Orton. Like even then, even with all that talent involved, you just can't replace the original three now. So now it gets crazier and crazier. This match is going, and Luke Harper does a drop kick. I was like, did that big guy that looks like that he weighs over close to 300 pounds just do a drop kick that a high flyer would, that a technical or high flyer guy would use? Okay, that's surprising. And like I said, like I wasn't that much into the indie scene, but I did study some things about it before I really got into the high gear. Like I did see like the uncanny resemblance with him and Bruiser Brody. Like I jokingly said, did Bruiser Brody get reincarnated into Luke Harper? Because that would make too much sense. Because he looks like Luke Harper. Because Luke Harper really looks like Bruiser Brody. And if Bruiser Brody was still around and was in his prime, I would say put those two in a match together. That would be awesome. But moving on, and then it starts to go down in the middle of the match. Like the Wyatt family and the Shield are fighting each other, and there's no tag team going on after Roman Reigns gets involved. And then the audience popped when Reigns got tagged in. Oh, the days when Roman Reigns was actually cheered. And it's just awesome and chaotic, and things break down in the middle of it after Roman Reigns tried to get a pinfall attempt over, I think, Eric Rowan. And Dean Ambrose is doing his crazy lunatic fringe gimmick since that was starting to build up. With the dissension build, he was becoming more crazier and crazier and paranoid with everything. And then finally, Luke Harper does the shocking thing for me. He does a suicide dive. Something that Daniel Bryan does. Something I can imagine Daniel Bryan doing. I can imagine Kalisto doing. I can imagine Sin Cara probably doing. I can imagine the Cruiserweights doing. I can imagine any smaller guy to do. But Luke Harper, a near 300-pound man, and he's doing the suicide dive. Oh no! That has to be a luck in the barrel. And then I found out later on that oh god, yeah, this was actually a common thing for him in the Indies. Oh dear God! Um, can we get this guy as a world champion one day? I would love to see that. Like Luke Harper's charismatic enough as it is, but the talent he's been told to hide until this big matchup really soared here. And now we got everything's breaking down. Seth Rollins does a high flying maneuver, and the commentators are just selling it as big as they can because this was a big matchup. And then Roman Reigns tries to get a pinfall attempt and fails, and then they clothesline each other. And Bray Wyatt and Luke Harper try to set up a table destroy the Spanish announce table because that's obviously required on Seth Rollins. But Dean Ambrose makes the save, and Wyatt and Ambrose brawl into the back in the audience, and the audience are just going crazy, like yeah, let's tear each other apart, tear each other apart, tear his head off. Yeah, especially the guy in the white hockey outfit, I think, was just pumping his fist at the ground, just pointing at Wyatt and Ambrose brawling on the floor. Like, yeah, like that. Yeah, that's the best way to describe what was going on. And then finally, uh, Bray Wyatt comes back, but Ambrose is nowhere in sight. And I was always curious to know what happened to Ambrose. Did he like? I know in storyline terms, I know in real life terms, they probably just went to the back. But then afterwards, you could make the argument in storyline terms. Ambrose was Sister Abigail on the concrete floor, and then they had to write him off. That was always curious to me. Like even Ambrose doesn't like they tried to talk about it on the next night after the pay per view, but like even then they never answer that question. Like they say he did, but at the same time we never got to see it. So now the Shield are outnumbered 2-3, and Luke Harper, Eric Rowan double choke slams Seth Rollins through the Spanish announce table, and it's now Roman Reigns. He's all alone, and Luke Harper gives him the tag, and he does it in a sacrificial way. He gets to his knees, spreads his hands out, and basically says, "I'm offering this tag partnership to you. this tag into you, Master. And that was just awesome. And Bray Wyatt goes to finish this match with Sister Abigail. And then Roman Reigns powers out of it and awards his defining trait to Bray Wyatt and does a Samoan drop and is able to take out Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. But then it happened. Roman Reigns tries to go for the spear to Bray Wyatt, but Luke Harper pushes him out of the way and takes the fall. And Bray Wyatt gets Sister Abigail on him, and he wins the match for his team. And by God, do not change a thing here. This was perfect. And I think WWE knows that this was perfect for one reason. They copied some of the formula into the Survivor Series 2016 match between Team Raw and Team SmackDown when Dean Ambrose and Seth Rollins were 2 to against the Wyatt family, 2-3, and then Randy Orton takes the spear to that was meant for Bray Wyatt by Roman Reigns, and then Roman Reigns gets pinned at the end. Like, I was thinking, like, are they copying off the Shield and Wyatt family match? But, like, I'm not complaining, but still, that's kind of awesome. Like, it shows that war is still not over. And it looked like it was building up to WrestleMania. Like I said, it looked like they were going to build this for WrestleMania. Like, they had a couple of singles matches, and then they had a separate several matches, and then there were reports that they wanted to do Bray Wyatt versus Roman Reigns, and Seth Rollins and Dean Ambrose teaming up to take on Luke Harper and Eric Rowan. And I was like, just do another 6-man tag team match. Just try and top that one. Like, it'd be hard to do, but try and top it. And this feud was not over. It technically never really ended. It never got a satisfying conclusion. That's one of the disappointing things about this feud. But ultimately, if they reunite the two factions one day and they start another feud, and I mean the original two groups, not those added members. Well, the Shield never had extra members, but the Wyatt family did. I would welcome with open arms another feud between them and finish what they started. And really, and this felt like a WrestleMania match. It was built like a WrestleMania match, and I think everyone knew that this was going to be a one-off probably, so they decided to say, fuck it, let's go all out. And by God, did they deliver on this. This exceeded my expectations. This exceeded everybody's expectations. Like, they knew it was going to be a great match because it's unique, it's fresh, it doesn't feel that stale, and it's not stale, and it's a match everyone's been clamoring for. Unlike Orton versus Cena, which we've seen, according to Ryan Delbert of his 10 Count article, he said that they have fought since 2007 75 times. Oh my God. But that's beside the point. This feud really never got its finishing conclusion. It should have had a WrestleMania match. That was my only complaint about this match, that they should have saved it for WrestleMania. Like, I could have, like, the crowd was hot, everything was great about it, but I wanted it to be at WrestleMania. It would have been a perfect send-off to everything. The Wyatt family are not only strong in this match, but the Shield disbands and causes a rift between Ambrose and Reigns and Rollins that eventually destroys them from within, and Bray Wyatt would be labeled as the destroyer of the Shield. Could you imagine if that actually happened? Instead of John Cena burying the Wyatt family at WrestleMania 30, then at Extreme Rules, and again at Payback 3 times in a row? My God, that cage match was horrible. And my God, they had several more matches later down the road. And they had several more encounters later down the road. But even then, everyone still agrees the Elimination Chamber was their first match, but also their best match together. There probably will never be another match like that in the 6-man tag team department. And before I looked up indie matches, at the time, for a couple of years, I said that this was the best tag team match of all, the best 6-man tag team match I ever saw in the modern WWE. I'm pretty sure there have been great ones in the past, but this was my favorite out of all of them because it felt so unique to me. The build-up was great, the storyline was great, the motivations were clear, and the match was great, but the only disappointing thing about it was it never reached a conclusion. So that was my only gripe with it. But my God, I can't wait if they ever do it again because it will work again. Like they hint at it multiple times that they might go out at war again. They even have matches with each other, like Dean Ambrose feuded with Bray Wyatt, Seth Rollins had a counter with Bray Wyatt, Roman Reigns feuded with Bray Wyatt. So if the Shield got back together, they have legitimate motivations to go after Bray Wyatt and the Wyatt family. And Bray Wyatt will have to conjure up Luke Harper and Eric Rowan again in order to fight the Shield. So yeah, those are my thoughts on the Shield, on the Wyatt family versus the Shield Elimination Chamber 2014. This was Neo Reality Entertainment. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe, and donate to 2 for more.